SuperTalk TV, and 'tis the season to watch all of the holiday favorite movies, and Elf may be one of your family's favorites or one of the most quoted. I know it is in our home. Well, here's some good news for you. New Stage Theater is presenting Elf the Musical, coming out November the 30th through December the 21st, and we've got Peppy Biddy, the director, and Jack, Buddy the Elf himself, with us today. So welcome, guys.
Thank you.
I am disappointed, Jack. If they go to SuperTalk TV, they'll be let down. You are not in your Buddy the Elf costume, but at the same time, I completely understand why walking just through everyday life may feel a little odd in the little get-up, but we'll forgive you this time. But how is it putting on the tights for the first time?
It's great. Funny story, actually. We just did a photo shoot at a local store nearby, a local Christmas store nearby, and I walked in and everyone was like, okay, all right. And then as soon as we were like Buddy the Elf, everyone knew exactly who I was.
How did they not know that?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And it was me and Santa. We did a little photo shoot there, and it was a lot of fun. And it was nice to see the community's reaction to Buddy the Elf out in the streets. And so,
well, I guarantee you, everyone who sees it, even if they don't make the connection, you will spark joy and you will bring a smile to people's faces, which I think that's the whole thing around Elf the movie, which is going to translate well into the musical. So, Peppy, as the director, how did this even happen? How did you guys at New Stage decide, you know what, this is a good year to bring Elf to the stage here in Mississippi?
Francine Reynolds, the artistic director, is, of course, the one who programs the season, but New Stage has a
Oh, you're fine.
New Stage has a Christmas show every year.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's Christmas Carol. In fact, I think I was here maybe 4 years ago talking about Christmas Carol. And so there's always a Christmas show, and there's a limited number of good Christmas shows out there. And this is a fairly new script, the musical version. So it's been sort of on the when we're ready to do this list, and this was the year.
So what does it take behind the scenes, Peppy, and even Jack, you can jump on this, when you bring something new? Like, I feel like you have your traditional things, and I know that Nutcracker, Christmas Carol, there's some others that come to mind that I feel like we all look forward to this time of year. When you want to start something completely new for the first time, instead of just pull out old costumes or pull out old sort of songs that folks know, how much back work does it take to get ready for something new compared to maybe dusting something off?
The rehearsal process is the same. We have 18 days from start to finish, no matter what show we're doing at New Stage. But the prep, we started in June.
Wow.
So it usually takes that long for any big show. But when I did, say, Christmas Carol a second time, we already had the set designed. We did have the costumes, and we had done it recently enough that we were able to get about 2/3 of the actors back. And you know what? It took the same 18 days from start to finish to be ready.
Yeah.
So it's that prep time that you can sometimes shorten, but yeah, we've been talking about this since June.
So, okay, Jack, so you've had Elf on the Brain. You've had Christmas not before July, Christmas since at least June. Or when were you first introduced to Jack being a possible character that you could play?
I auditioned for the show late July, and Peppy and I actually had a conversation over Zoom for about an hour and a half about the show, and honestly just about life in general, just to see, because it's very important that, at least in my opinion, that actor and director have a good relationship. And I feel like Peppy and I hit it off immediately, and I think that we both have the same vision. And so I've been thinking about Buddy the Elf since August, and I think because we have the same vision, it honestly makes things a lot easier, and it makes the rehearsal process, the 18 days, really joyful and really exciting. And I think that when audiences come see the show, that joy is going to be expressed immediately in the opening number. The opening number is called Happy All the Time. So there you go.
Well, it would have to be a hard character. I mean, I'm assuming any character that you feel like your audience is going to be familiar with adds a layer of pressure coming in, because if it's a new script or new story, you kind of have that ability to create your own, but they're very much expecting you to be as Buddy the Elf as possible, right? So, and he is he is different. I mean, he is like, joy is a good word for it, and happy and over the top as a grown man. And so, I mean, was that hard, Jack, to kind of like allow? I would feel like you would have to have a sense of freedom that you'd have to give yourself to like step into that kind of space.
Yeah, I think the first fear that I had was, well, people are going to walk in and expect Will Ferrell, and they're going to get this 22-year-old from New York. And so, but then as soon as I just kind of gave into the process, and Buddy the Elf is one of those characters that the more he believes it, the more the audience believes it.
Oh,
and so the more I give and the more I truly believe what I'm saying. Like we were just talking about a line I had that says, real snowflakes are smaller than buildings, that I say to someone in all seriousness. And so it's about approaching the character in a way that's just fun and really just giving over to the innocence that he has. And it can be super fun to have that innocence.
And I think we all need it.
Exactly.
Right about now, especially our kids. But that's one of the things, Peppy, what so many families enjoy about this time of year, hopefully, is finding times and moments to see it through the eyes of their kids, because they do remind us that there's an innocence sort of to it all. So, Peppy, when you were looking for Buddy, which I know there are other characters to get to, he is the star, but he doesn't make the whole show go without others. What was it about Jack that you said, he'll do fine down here in Mississippi, singing and dancing?
We got about 900 submissions.
Really?
Yes, for the whole show. And I would say maybe 100 or plus of those were buddies. And when you see 100 people do the same material over and over, those few that you respond to really pop out. And one of the things was I didn't want someone trying to do their Will Ferrell impersonation, because you can't sustain that. And as Jack said, you can't be that. So I was looking for people whose own personalities had those same qualities about Buddy that they didn't have to make up. Just the joy, the humor. And it's funny that Jack says that about our ability, our same vision, because sometimes it takes a whole rehearsal process, or sometimes casting someone in a show for more than once before I say, you need to start reading my mind, because I will start something and I'm talking about what it looks like, the vision of it, and they have to see it. And I'll have to say that with Jack, I get about halfway through the sentence and he's like, got it. And he does. So
completely embodied it. I think it's important to recognize that, here at New Stage, right here in our central Mississippi, here in our capital, 900 people, from all over wanted to take part in what you guys, were doing. It's a local theater. It's a state, it's our biggest theater here in the state. But there's folks all over from New York that wants to come down. So what was it about this opportunity, Jack, that was so appealing to you to come to Mississippi for, I guess, spend your holidays really with us?
Yeah. I actually just did a play here called Lend Me a Soprano, and I actually got cast for both of those around the same time. And the thing that appealed so much to me about New Stage Theater is, number one, I heard great things about it from colleagues of mine. I had so many people when I got cast were like, oh, we love New Stage, we love Jackson, Mississippi. And also, I'm originally from Texas, and so I have a lot of family in the South. I actually have family in Mississippi, and so there was something about New Stage Theater that felt a little bit like home, even though I had never really been there before. And as I'm on my second contract here, it feels more like home than ever. And I'd say that's a quality of Jackson that you don't really find in other places, because I've done regional contracts in other places, but there's something about Jackson that the community, everyone knows each other, everyone is here to help each other. And as soon as people hear, like, oh, you don't know what's in Jackson? Well, let me tell you everything about Jackson. And so now I feel like I'm from here, and I've only been here for maybe 8 weeks. So.
I hope you've eaten some good food. That should be the first place that people start to point you to as where to eat. But then also, we want to make sure we get to the show times. And I also want to highlight the fact that you do have a lot of local artists and talents, Peppy, in the upcoming musical, not just those from other states, which is impressive. So stick with us. We got more with Elf the Musical at New Stage Theater coming up next. TV. But if you want to see Elf the Musical, you'll have to make it out to New Stage Theater sometime between November the 30th and December the 21st as they put on this play for the first time, I guess, in the theater's history, right? This is new to you guys. And we've got Peppy, the director, with us, as well as Jack, who's playing Buddy the Elf. He's from New York, but he's calling Mississippi home for the holidays, which I think is really cool. But he's not the only one in the cast, although Elf, obviously Buddy is probably the star in the leading role. Peppy, who are those other characters that just had to be nailed right for this to translate well from the movie to the musical?
Well, in all, we have 22 actors in the show, and most of those are locals. The family that Buddy is a part of, there's his dad, Walter, who's played by Ray McFarlane, which I know a lot of listeners will recognize that name and recognize him on stage. And his mother is played by Laura, who is new to me. She's been in a couple new stage shows, but again, just the combination of the singing voice and just the reading and the look, she was just the right person for it. And we have some young actors who play the little brother, who are so we've got 4 youth actors in the show, which is always fun for them and us.
I was like, is that a sarcasm or is that? No, I'm just picking.
No, they're just always ready to, they can't wait for their turn to go on. And it's good to see that enthusiasm and the talent that they have at such a young age is really just sort of amazing to me.
And it's a reminder to parents listening to Good Things or grandparents that if you've got that little sparkle child at your house that, you know, is very theatrical or whatnot, get them in their local community theater. Give them the opportunity to get on the stage. I mean, may not never make it to the lights on Broadway or on whatever, but you can have a wonderful experience and enrich your childhood as well as adulthood by being a part of your community theaters. And so we just so happen to have a great one here in Central Mississippi, which is New Stage. Okay, so when you have to take something as iconic as, or it takes from the movie to a musical, what's the hardest part with that?
Well, the people who adapted the movie into a stage play with music did a really good job because with a movie, could be 100 scenes, but in a play, you have to narrow that down to a few locations that you can then put on the stage. So they did a great job at diffusing, is that the word I want to use?
Or just narrowing
it down to
whittling down
what can be presented, and yet they kept so much of the familiarity that you'll remember from the movie is in the show, plus the musical numbers. So,
and there are some great ones in the movie because you got a few duets with your lady interest, your love interest.
Yes. Yeah.
So, do you have? Is the shower scene in there? Do you get to sing in the shower?
Unfortunately, not that one. But
well, it's still family friendly. At least it's portrayed that way on the musical. But I think too the part that do you keep a lot of the great quotes, one-liners that I feel like we all know from the movie in there? Was that fun? Yes. Did you even have to read? Did you have to memorize those? Or
no, those I definitely didn't have to memorize. Like sit on a throne of lies, that kind of stuff was pretty natural. But I would say for me the hardest part was not trying to be Will Ferrell because you can't be someone that funny.
Look silly.
Exactly. And so, but I think that, like Peppy said, the writers did such a great job of really incorporating all those iconic moments and all those iconic lines that you want to see while still making something original. But yeah, there are just so many different things. Like one of the songs is called Sparkle Jolly Twinkle Jingly, which is all one word. And so it's just they do a great job of incorporating moments that you love from the movie and also new moments to create in the theater.
To give props to the people who make the props. I haven't seen the show yet. It would be one that my family would absolutely enjoy coming out for, but I can only imagine because part of what made Elf the movie magical was the fact it created this wonderland and this sort of mystical, holiday kind of getaway. So how much hard work goes into those that make the stage and make the props and the costumes and all that you may not see them on stage, but you see their work?
Definitely, you'll see their work in this show. Our designer, Cody Stockwell, has designed a couple of shows here at New Stage. Now it lives in Dallas, so he'll be coming in this week. And one of the things about this show, it goes from the North Pole to the streets of Manhattan to a fancy apartment to a restaurant. So one of the techniques that's being used for this, which is fairly new, is a lot of projections. And they're hand-painted by Cody. But then they'll be as full as, as large as the whole back wall. And so there's a scene where Buddy rides an iceberg through 20 different locations, a candy cane forest and mountains and other icebergs, and lands in the Holland Tunnel in New York City. So all that happens in the span of one song.
So there's so many moving parts behind the scenes.
So many moving parts, literally.
You can't,
so
I'm assuming,
parts.
can't completely give credit or appreciation for it unless you come and see it, which is what folks should do. You should always get out and support your local theaters, no matter who's putting out what across the state. But here centrally, making a trip to come in and see this special event, I think is great for the holiday tradition. When can we see it? I know it opens the 30th, but give us the rest of the details, Peppy or Jack.
Well, it opens November 30th and closes December 21st. And the actual day-to-day schedule is a little complex because there are some matinees. There are also some school shows. And then
How fun.
Sometimes we skip a regular night.
Because they're going to be your biggest critics.
Well, and we've taught. I sometimes pretend like I'm the house full of school kids yelling back at the actors, because that happens. When a whole group of children come, they feel totally free to just speak back to the actors.
Laugh at you.
Yeah.
Hopefully not boo at you, but
But they'll
laugh
talk
or
back.
sing or talk back. Because it's it feels like now you're not in the movie. It feels like you are. If you do it well, you're inviting them into it so much that they're like, yeah, or respond. That's cool.
And that's the best part about student matinees, in my opinion, is you get to not only invite them into the theater, but for some kids, you get to introduce them to the theater, and you get to say, hey, this may be something that you want to do. Like the first show that I ever saw was actually a school matinee. A high school came and performed at my elementary school, and that's what kind of sparked my interest in it. And so it's that love relationship to them, and just getting to express that art form to them, and like you said, like invite them into like a real life version of the movie. Like, this isn't the screen. Like, we're real people, and like I love improv to death. So if they say Merry Christmas, I'll say it right back. So.
You won't forget your line? Because I think I would forget my line. I don't know. Maybe not.
Not the iconic lines.
No, not that way. But yeah. But it goes to show, too, the talent that's on the stage to be able to do that. And that if you've never seen a live performance of any kind, you are missing out on an opportunity of a different type of entertainment. And two, to parents, again, that there is potential for a career path for those that sometimes Absolutely. I feel like parents don't think that the arts can provide, a path. Did you have to do a lot of convincing to get your parents to let you do theater?
I was very much sports for a long time. Baseball was my thing. I was in traveling baseball all throughout high school, and then theater kind of sparked my interest. And my parents were very supportive in the sense of give it a shot, and if you're good at it, let's go for it. And went to college for it, and here I am. And there's a lot of professional opportunities, and I feel like a lot of parents seem to think it's Broadway or nothing, but in other industries, it's not CEO or nothing. There are a lot of opportunities, such as regional theaters like New Stage, and I live in New York. I call New York my home. However, I go all over the country to perform to different regional theaters or on tour or whatever, and that's when you meet real people, and you get to experience all different parts of the country, and I think that's really important. I think that a lot of parents seem to think that it's all or nothing in there, when in reality there's so many avenues.
And it's something you can keep, especially in your community theaters. Even if you have a day job, the theater can still be your outlet and your hobby and your form of community. All right, Peppy, I know that there's also a lot of discounts for different, whether it be military or those who are wiser in years and all of the above. So if we want all that information, where is the easiest place to go to get our tickets?
Well, if you're a computer-savvy person, you can go to newstagetheater.com, and that is spelt with an R-E. Theater, it's spelled with an R-E, or you can call the box office at 601-948-3533, and talk to a live person.
And come out too and get your tickets there. But come out and see it. It's going to be fun. I see here recommended for ages 8+, which I think is a fun night out this holiday from November the 30th to December the 21st. Can I say break a leg?
Go for it.
Okay.
Break both of them.
It sounds so terrible. But Peppy, welcome back and congratulations on this one. Look forward to having you back in Mississippi, Jack. And you guys stick with us. We got more for you coming up next.